Hi. We're going to share our Reset 5E lesson plan that we came up with, getting to know your watershed. I'm Kim Pascal.
And I'm Kirsten Salonga.
And for this activity, students are going to be using technology to research watersheds and to create their own ArcGIS story map. So we have our standards covered here. We have the next gen science standards, math and English and computer, because this is very heavily computer based, which is good for them to know. So we have our lesson objectives. So they're going to investigate the watershed that they live in and compare it to other watersheds in the United States so that they can better understand and help to maintain the health of their watershed. And their final product that they're going to produce is the ArcGIS Personal Watershed Story Map. So I had the privilege of working with Dr. Lauren Mansowicz at the U.S. Army Engineer Research and Development Center in Vicksburg, Mississippi. She is a research civil engineer in the hydrologic systems branch, and she is her research uses groundwater model simulations to investigate groundwater quality and quantity problems and look at the impact that weather has on water. And her current research is she's working to couple surface water models with a groundwater model to better understand flood risks. And that's what we helped with in our research.
Right. So for the engagement, we start out with a little demonstration to get students really involved and engaged and interested. And so you ask students where they think their drinking water comes from and where does water move when it rains. And then you give them some time to make their own little topography, like a little map of like using a crumpled sheet of paper and then using water. So you can see in the video example, we have a lot of different links, a lot of different resources, and it really just gets them to think about what a watershed means through a think, pair, share at the end. And then we have different adaptations for individual learners, for virtual learners, and for the extension throughout all of the activities that we have. So there's just a lot of different things that students can do to make sure that they are very engaged. Right, and then the exploration, we're going to have students plan out their story maps. And so I incorporated different examples of watershed story maps, so from the Amazon, from Florida, from Louisiana, and from the Chesapeake Bay, which is where I am. And all of these different resources show how or have different features like different maps to follow, for example, or different zoom in, zoom out features that students can see, or different highlighted regions and statistics. So they can kind of view that variation of the story maps and use it to plan out how they would like their story maps to look. And they're going to be in groups or individually. It's really up to the students, but they're going to use that planning your personal watershed story map. And then again, we have the adaptations at the end.
All right, for the explanation, students are going to use a lot of these computer-based resources, ArcGIS, the platform that we use, Climate Hydro Analytics platform, and they're going to research in depth their watershed that they selected, and they're going to compile that research into their ArcGIS story map. So this is definitely something that you as the teacher are going to want to familiarize yourself with, these research sites that they're going to use and the ArcGIS story map. And remember to get your free account for your school or district so your students will have access to that. And then for the elaborate, students are going to interview someone, friend, teacher, family member, about their experience with watersheds, just to kind of make that personal connection with watersheds so that we can hopefully help instill or foster, an emotional connection so that maybe they'll be inspired to take action to help protect their watersheds.
Yeah. And then the evaluation is really just a summary of everything that they did for this watershed activity for making their story maps. So we have a checklist that's very clear, has very clear instructions that they can use. And then we also have a groundwater research reading based on the researcher that Kim had worked with.
So we hope you enjoy the lesson. We'd love to hear any feedback. Thank you.
Thank you so much.